Shalom, shalom, guys. How are you guys doing? We're going to wait. I'm going live right now, so we're going to wait till some people get in here before I start. We're doing our video on Shalom today, so we're just going to give our viewers a few minutes to get on. Hope you guys had a good Shabbat today. Pretty excited about this study that I did, so we'll give it about 4 more minutes. Can't really see the comments today for some reason, so if you comment, I do apologize. I think I need to learn this a little bit better. All right, we're going to give it a couple more minutes, let people get in. Hope you guys are doing awesome today. We had a pretty good Shabbat. We went bike riding, so that was pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, there's y'all's comments. I can see them now. For some reason, it won't let me comment, but that's okay. So, how are you doing, Brenda? Hope you're doing good. I'm glad you can join us tonight. All right, so it's almost 8:05, so we're going to go ahead and start on this. This is a pretty exciting study that I did on Shalom. I know a lot of you know what Shalom is. I know that we greet each other with Shabbat Shalom on Sabbath day. And we know that Shalom means peace, but it goes a little further than that. So we'll just go ahead and start. Okay, let's see. Let me change this view. Give me 1 second. There we go. Now we can see this a little better. Shalom, shalom. Okay. So, shalom. Shalom is a Hebrew word that means completeness, soundness, and wholeness. We know that it means peace, right? We probably learned this when we first started walking with Yah. But it means much more than that when you look it up in Hebrew. Let's see. So this word comes from a Hebrew word, shalom, which means, so it has several different meanings. So, hey, everybody. Hey, David. Hey, Ryan. Okay, so let's see here. For those of y'all that are just joining us, we just started. I'm giving kind of the Hebrew definition of shalom, which means completeness, soundness, and wholeness. But it comes from a word, shalom, and this word shalom, the root meanings of these words has several different meanings. And we're gonna go over each of them. So the first one is make amends. The second one is to make an end. The third one is to finish. The fourth one is to give again, and to make whole or heal, and to be safe. And each one of these above definitions, so all these definitions is a little prophetic, and it aligns with what we're reading in the Bible. So, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So make amends. In 2 Corinthians 5:18, we read, and make amends also means to reconcile. So, and it is all from Yahuwah, who through the Messiah has reconciled us to himself and has given us the work of that reconciliation. And the second one that we said it means is to make an end. And we see this even in its pictorial broken down by letter definition of shalom. It does put an end to something, but guess what? I'm not telling you yet what it puts an end to. We're going to unpack this a little bit later on in the study. The next one, it means to finish. In John 19:30, we read, when he had received the drink, Yahushua said, "It is finished." With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. And the next definition, to give again, in Jeremiah 31:33, "For this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahuwah. I will put my Torah within them and write it on their hearts. I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people." So he has given again the covenant, because remember, the northern and southern kingdoms, they were divorced from Yah. So he literally is given the covenant again. And the other definition is to make whole or to heal. And in John 5:6, we read, Yahushua, seeing this man and knowing that he had been there a long time, said to him, do you want to be healed? So we know that Yahushua heals and he makes people whole, right? So all these definitions come from Shalom. It's pretty prophetic. And we'll go right down here. Did you know that his Shalom guards our hearts and minds? Now, a few of you, so we had a baptism event a few months back. And I know there may be a few of you that joined us, and you may have heard some of this already, because I'm taking that study and kind of mixing it in with some other stuff. So did you know that his Shalom guards our hearts and minds? In Philippians 4:7, we see this. It guards our heart and it guards our mind. And the Shalom of Yahuwah, which surpasses all understanding, shall guard your hearts and minds through Yahushua HaMashiach. And then here I put this here, guard your heart, because everything flows from it, right? Guard your heart as well, because we learn in Jeremiah that your heart is deceitful above all things, and who can know it? So in Colossians 3:15, let the Shalom of Messiah rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you are called to Shalom, and be thankful. So why should we guard our hearts in the first place? Well, we gave one reason, because our hearts are deceitful, and we want to guard it from our flesh, even our own flesh. We want to rebuke our own flesh. We want to guard it from the world. So because we know that our heart can be deceitful, but also we want our fruits to match our faith, right? In 1 John 2:6, whoever claims to abide in him must walk just as he walked. And I put this on here. Our Messiah wore tzitzits. Well, kosher, I will say this, he ate according to Leviticus chapter 11. He observed the feast days. He obeyed his father's commandments, the Torah. The Torah, for those of you who don't know what the Torah is, it's the first 5 books of the Bible. It's the written out instructions that our Creator gave us to live by, to keep us in line. And our Messiah, he followed those. He kept the 7th-day Shabbat. He came for the lost sheep, the house of Israel, and he taught others to walk as he walked. So as water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. This is why we guard our hearts, right? Because we want our hearts to obey him, because it's a heart issue. And that's in Proverbs 27:19. Faith also purifies our hearts, right? And we're going to get more into Shalom in a second, but I just wanted you to see how all this connects. Faith purifies our hearts. In Acts 15:9, and made no distinction between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith. See that? Guard our hearts, right? Obedience to the truth purifies our souls. And what is truth? We should all know this. Your righteousness is eternal righteousness, and your Torah is truth. Psalms 119, 142. And I like this meme. I've shared it before. When you read the Torah, it will point to the Messiah. And when you read about the Messiah, he will always point back to the Torah. He never contradicts. The back of the book will never contradict with the front of the book. The front of the book will never contradict with the back of the book. Shaul, Paul will never contradict what the Torah teaches. Maybe I will go down a rabbit hole on that one day and probably make a lot of people mad, but we'll save that for a rainy day. In 1 Peter 1:22, having purified your souls by your obedience, purifying your souls by your obedience to the truth for a sincere brotherly love, love one another earnestly from a pure heart. purified your souls by your obedience to truth. And we just found out what truth is. That is your Torah, ladies and gentlemen. So a lot of churches will teach, well, if you obey the Torah, then you're a law keeper. And if you obey, you're basically being saved by works. But it says right here that your soul is purified by your obedience. Faith without works is dead. And that is very biblical. Hope in him also purifies us. And everyone who thus hopes in him purifies himself as he is pure. So Shalom points to Yahushua Messiah. Yahuwah's covenant can only be received through Yahushua Messiah. Because we see in John 14:6, Yahushua said, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Yahuwah's covenant is shalom and gives us shalom. When you are covered with his covenant, his son Yahushua, then you are covered with his shalom. We're starting to see more and more that Yahushua is our shalom. In Numbers 25:12, therefore say, I am giving him my covenant of shalom. His whole covenant is shalom, right? Ezekiel 34:25, I will make a covenant of shalom with them. I will remove the evil beasts from the land so they may dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the forest. In Ezekiel 37:26, I will cut a covenant of shalom. This is all, I mean, I've seen this so many times today when I was reading in scriptures. I will cut a covenant of shalom with them. It will be an everlasting covenant with them. I will give them and multiply them. I will set up my sanctuary among them forever. And I feel like my spirit says right now, my sanctuary, I feel like that is the Messiah right there. That's just an opinion. Judges 6:24. So Gideon built an altar there to Adonai and called it Adonai Shalom. Yahushua is our shalom. He is our covenant, right? Because nobody can get to the Father without going to the Son, right? As a matter of fact, we read in the Bible that if you try to get to Yahuwah by any other means aside from Yahushua, you're considered a thief. So when we read in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal, or you're considered a thief if you try to get to Yahuwah without going through the Son. In Isaiah 9:5, so Yahushua is our shalom, and we see this in Isaiah 9:5. For to us a child is born, a son will be given to us, and the government will be upon his shoulder. His name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty Elohim, my Father of Eternity, Prince of Shalom, Prince of Shalom. And here is something else, and I just found this one, I think it was today or yesterday. Another profound meaning of the word shalom, actually one of the root meanings in Hebrew is rose. And this is pretty prophetic. By now we should be seeing the shalom points to Yahushua, and by now we should conclude that the Yahushua is our shalom. In First Thessalonians 4:14, for since we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, we also believe that in the same way, Yahuwah through Yahushua will take with him those who have died. In Acts 10:41, not to all the people, but to us, witnesses who were chosen beforehand by Yahuwah, we ate and drank with him after he rose from the dead. So we're really starting to see the shalom just points right to Yahushua, that he is our shalom, right? And I know we did a study a week or two ago about grace being the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. So we're starting to dig deep with these words, and we're starting to see spirits behind these words. And here it is right here. Do you remember? Let's go up a little bit. When I said that that shalom can also means to make an end, to put an end to something. Well, let's unpack that. This is the time where we're going to unpack what that means. Let's go back down. So just so everybody knows, Hebrew letters, the Hebrew language is pretty awesome. The front of the book was originally written in Hebrew, and I think even in the back of the book might have been. A lot of studies show that. But so the Hebrew letters, each Hebrew letter means something different. And when we break down what shalom means in Hebrew by the letter, so we have the letter shin, and it means teeth, destroy, consume. We have, and I know some of you may have heard this before, the letter el, lamed, the staff or authority. and mem means water or chaos. So you can literally break this whole word shalom down. You can break it down, and it literally means to destroy the authority attached to chaos. And that's really prophetic. That is so prophetic. And I have it right here in a meme too. So let's first define, and I'll show you how prophetic that really is in a second. But let's first define what chaos is. What does it mean in Hebrew? It means confusion, futile, desolation, emptiness, meaning, and it also means meaningless arguments for those who enjoy promoting strife. We see this in Genesis 1:2. Now the earth was chaos and waste. Darkness was on the surface of the deep, and the Ruach Elohim was hovering upon the surface of the water. We also see the word emptiness, which is another meaning of chaos. In Ecclesiastes 1:2, the words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem, vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanities. The word vanity in Hebrew means empty, which in turn means chaos. You see, when we live our lives without shalom, we live in chaos and in emptiness. I don't know about you, brothers and sisters, but before I came to the Messiah, or should I say before he called me, before I came on my hands and my knees, literally in a dusty room at my mom's old house in Houston, I was in such chaos and emptiness, and it was just utter chaos that I was feeling at that time. And so that is very true. When you don't have Yahushua, see, that's what I think. This is why I really believe that Yahushua is shalom, right? So, because as soon as I started believing there was a Messiah, which was only about 5 years ago, and I started obeying him and really circumcising my heart and really starting to do the things that he wanted me to do instead of what I wanted to do. And nobody's perfect, right? We all fall short. So I'm definitely not boasting in that, but I will say that I started to feel this peace that surpassed all understanding. And it was almost like this hedge of protection. And I'm really trying not to be biblical right now. I'm just trying to tell you like how it really felt. It was like this thing was cased around me, and things just didn't, the fiery darts of the evil one just didn't come through. And the only times that it did come through is when I was falling short of prayer, or if I was sinning intentionally, or because we all do it from time to time. Okay, rabbit trail, but let's keep going. So when we live our lives without Yahushua, we live our lives without shalom. And I like this little cool saying, no Yahushua, no shalom. And of course, without Yahushua, we don't have shalom. So no Yahushua, no shalom, no Yahushua, no shalom. And it sounds weird. So if you're not looking at this screen, it's going to sound really weird. But if you turn around and look at it, you'll see what I mean. And shalom, shalom for those that are joining us. So the word shalom broken down in Hebrew gives its own prophecy. So destroy the authority attached to chaos. And I feel like I'm about to sneeze. So if I do, then I apologize. So in Romans 16:20, and Yahuwah, the source of shalom. So we already see that our shalom comes from Yahuwah, and we can't get to Yahuwah without Yahusha. So here's a prophetic thing about the meaning of shalom. And Yahuwah, the source of shalom, will soon crush the adversary under your feet. He will destroy the authority attached to chaos, right? Because Hasatan himself, or whatever you want to call him, I call him a jerk, actually, but he's going to be, he's the Yahushua comes in and he takes authority, right? And 1 Corinthians 14:33, for God is not a God of unruliness, but of shalom. Okay. Isaiah 45:18, for thus says Yahuwah, who created the heavens, who shaped and made the earth, who established and created it not to be chaos, but formed it to be lived in. I am Yahuwah, there is no other. And I actually threw this on here about an hour ago. I was trying to find a picture that really depicted chaos in the world. And I found so many things. And I won't say out loud what these things are, because I really don't want my YouTube page to be deleted quite yet, because it's only not even a month old. But Look at all these different things that we see right now in the world. And I just slapped that little word on there because we're in complete chaos right now. We have no order in this world because we know that the God of this world is Hasatan. Here is another hidden parable. Now, I was watching Parable of the Vineyard earlier. I was watching one of Adam Fink's videos earlier while I was studying on my studies. And it's so funny because for about 30 minutes, everything that he was saying kept aligning with what I was doing in my studies. It was pretty profound. It was, I mean, that's when you know, and that's when you know that the Ruach HaKodesh is really working in our lives. Because he's working on all of us almost at the same time. And I just think these little confirmations are like little winks from Yah. So it's pretty cool. But so here's another parable that I found, and I didn't find it until today. It was when I really started searching out the word shalom. So I'll just read, okay? So John 14:27. We've all heard this verse before. What I am leaving with you is shalom. I am giving you my shalom. I don't give the way the world gives it or gives. Don't let yourselves be upset or frightened. So I saw this earlier. So I thought, okay, I know what shalom is. I know what it is. I've researched, I've studied it. I let scriptures define it. But now I want to see how world defines what peace is. I have to see. I have to get on the enemy's playground and I just have to see, right? How does the world define peace? So I went on Google and I went on Wikipedia because that's what most worldly people do. So this is how they define peace. Peace is a concept of societal friendship and harmony in the absence of hostility and violence. In a social sense, peace is commonly used to mean a lack of conflict, such as war, and freedom from fear of violence between individuals or groups. Throughout history, leaders have used peacemaking and to establish a type of behavioral restraint that has resulted in the establishment of regional peace or economic growth through various forms of agreements, peace treaties. Such behavioral restraint, I just love how they, and I'm sarcasm, I just love how they use this word behavioral restraint. It's mind-blowing. Such behavioral restraint has often resulted in reduced conflict. It also resulted in greater economic interactivity. See, they didn't just make these peace treaties out of love; they made them out of through these intents of greater economic interactivity and substantial prosperity, right? And actually, if you go on the CDC website, they actually have something in there on their mission statement about how they've done all these things to affect our behaviors. I'll have to post it on Facebook here real soon because I forgot what it said. But so the world's definition of peace is the absence of hostility and violence, right? It means a lack of conflict, such as war. That's their definition of peace. It just means no violence, no war, blah, blah, blah. So I'll go back to it. What I am leaving you is shalom, right? And I am giving you my shalom. I don't give it the way the world gives. Now, how does the world give it? Through absence of hostility and violence. I don't give it in that way. Why did he say that? Why did he say he doesn't give it in that way? Matthew 10:34-36. Don't suppose that I have come to bring peace to the land. It is not peace I have come to bring, but a sword. It is not the absence of hostility and violence that I bring, but I come with a sword. He doesn't come. He brings shalom, right? Because see, when he divides the wheat from the tares, it's gonna get crazy, right? We know that the tribulation's coming. So do you see this hidden parable in there? I don't give it the way the world gives it. I give shalom. So I just thought this was pretty interesting. I just thought that was really interesting because we know he's going to come with a sword. And as a matter of fact, I wrote the rest of it. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, so that a man's enemies will be the members of his own household. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. Yahushua did not contradict himself. No, he don't contradict himself. He's perfect. Yahuwah is perfect. Shalom is different from worldly peace. Worldly peace is the absence of hostility and violence. Shalom is everything that we just read about. It is Yahusha. It is completeness with Yahuwah Elohim. It is the reconciliation of our bridegroom with our bridegroom. It is the moment of deliverance from our bondage, right? It is the marriage supper with our bridegroom. It is everything that has to do with Yahuwah and Yahusha. In 2 Corinthians 5:18 through 19, and it is all from Yahuwah, who through the Messiah has reconciled us to himself and has given us the work of that reconciliation, which is that Yahuwah in the Messiah was reconciling mankind to himself, not counting their sins against them, and entrusting to us the message of reconciliation. Yahuwah is such a merciful and graceful Abba Yah. And Abba, for those that don't know, Abba means father. And sometimes I do call him Abba. It's just another title, guys. So he gave us another chance, gathering all the lost sheep, also including the foreigners and sojourners. That's how merciful he is and gracious he is. Adoption. He is definitely one who's for adoption, grafting in. In John 10:16, also, I have other sheep which are not from this pen. I need to bring them, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock, one shepherd, which this is Yahushua Messiah. In James 1:22, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. He is calling us to put his words into action, not just listen. He wants us to be doers of the word and not hearers only. He wants us to shema. He wants us to hear and obey. He wants us to trust in him, to trust in him. He wants us to believe his word. To believe in Hebrew means to trust and obey. Faith without works is dead. When we are not in covenant with Yahuwah, then we are in covenant with the world. And the world is led by Hasatan. So then the question is, who are you led by when you are not led by his Ruach HaKodesh? And I have the answer to that, brothers and sisters. In 2 Corinthians 4:4, Satan, who is the God, who is the Elohim of this world, has blinded the minds of those who don't believe. They are unable to see the glorious light of the good news. The good news is Yahushua, right? They don't understand this message about the glory of Yahushua HaMashiach, who is the exact likeness of Elohim, Yahuwah. We are in covenant with Hasatan. When we are in covenant with Hasatan, we have no shalom. Isaiah 59:8, the way of shalom they do not know. Their goings about obey no law. They make devious paths for themselves. No one trading them will ever know shalom. So these are evil people, right? Their goings about obey no Torah. That word is Torah, his instructions. In Isaiah 57:21, there is no shalom, says my Elohim, for the wicked. So the wicked have no shalom. So this is our time of repentance. When we hear messages like this, brothers and sisters, we have to really think about, just think about things. Think about, where have we fallen short? Where have, and a lot of my issues is pride. Y'all showed that to me, I don't know, a month or two ago, about how all sin is really, the foundation of all sin is pride. That is something that I want to do. I've started a study on, but that is something that he showed me, was pride. But I hope this was a blessing to you. When we read the word peace in the Bible, start putting these other words in there to see how it really opens up the scriptures. It opens up the New Testament as well. Again, as always, I can give you guys copies of this study if you want it. I know I've already emailed some already of the other ones. Also, I'm going to put this on here. So some of you, I don't know if some of you know already, but I have a ministry on Facebook called, well, it was called His Wind of Change Ministry. I did change it slightly to Wind of Change Torah Ministry. So if you want to go on there and subscribe to it, that'd be great. Because I put all these studies on there with some other stuff on there. And also I have a YouTube page that I'm trying. I think I have 85 people already to like it, which is great. I appreciate that. It's also called Wind of Change Torah Ministry. So if you could like and subscribe, I'm trying to hit my 100 mark. But anyway, so I appreciate you guys coming on here tonight and studying with me. I do not want to call myself a teacher. These are studies so I will give you a little bit of history about me. So I came to Messiah in 2017. Okay. So, and a year after that, well, during that year, the first thing that Yah has ever shown me was his heart. And it was so, I remember I was sitting in front of and I hope I don't get teary-eyed at this because every time I tell the story I do, but so I was sitting in front of my dad's work. I had to pick him up. And I remember I had my Bible, probably 2 Bibles in there, and Yah had me, see, 2017, that's so prophetic. And I know the Revelation 12 sign happened not too long in there somewhere. So I think a lot of us are waking up at that time. So that's so awesome, Jenna. I'm glad you said that. But so I was sitting in front of my dad's work, and Yahuwah had me look up the word. He, like, in the back of the Bible, there has the words and the page numbers. Or I can't remember if it was an app I looked at, but I looked up the word heart in the Bible, and I started reading scriptures about the word heart. And what I noticed is that in the Bible, I found out that Yahuwah has a heart. And I guess I never seen Yahuwah like that before. And of course, then you have to think like, well, he made man in his image, right? But I just didn't think of him like that before. But when I found out that my creator had a heart and he had emotions and he could love and he could be joyful and he could be angry and sad and jealous, because also his name is jealous, right? I started crying, and that is the moment where I have fell completely in love with our creator. That was the day. And then right after that is when I started doing all these writings. He kept showing me all these things. I started doing all these writings. And I thought to myself, I want to share these with people. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm not a teacher. I just wanted to share what y'all has shown me. So I made the ministry page on Facebook in 2018, the Wind of Change Torah Ministry. And that's why I did that. And that's why I said I don't really claim myself to be a teacher, but I do claim to be somebody who studies the word. And I started to want to share it. And now I started to want to share it on videos. But so I didn't plan on telling you that testimony, but I just did. So, okay, we'll go ahead and end this. May Yahuwah bless you and keep you. May Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Thank you, brothers and sisters. And you guys have a good night, and I love you.